Welcome back to That Time When. Matt Miller with you in Studio 4. On this edition, we're flashing back to that time when we had that Canberra road trip. I can't believe it was 5 years ago, and I can't believe we're heading back to Canberra in just a few short weeks. Just incredible how time is working. I'm sure the planet's spinning faster. I'll have to ask Dr. Brad about that. In the meantime, Glenn Nagel took us around the complex of the Canberra Tidbinbilla tracking station, part of NASA's Deep Space Communication Network, and I'm very much looking forward to the next time we head down there because little birdie tells me we might be getting inside. But for now, check the outside of this facility. They were building new telescopes at that time, so it'll be incredible to see how it all looks now. But for the moment, here is the second part of the Canberra road trip on That Time When.
So our complex is a part of NASA. We're part of NASA's Deep Space Network. We're one of only 3 stations in the world that has this important task, and that's to provide all the communications to all the dozens of spacecraft that are out there, exploring the solar system, visiting planets, moons, asteroids, comets, looking deep into space, other stars and galaxies, watching our own star, of course, our sun every day, and then a bunch of other spacecraft, keeping a broad eye around our core in the universe, good old planet Earth.
With most of the solar system moving below the ecliptic plane in the next few years, Tidbinbilla is expanding and will become an even more integral part of the Deep Space Communication Network.
There are so many spacecraft out there, we simply need more antennas to be able to talk to all these extra craft, and you know, NASA's budget is always tight, and that's what funds the entire complex. But none of the new antennas are new money. It's actually all money we've had to save over the last decade from our general budget so that we can afford this $110 million investment.
So it's really about expanding the ability to communicate with the satellites in terms of there's more stuff happening at the same time?
Yeah, well, if you take, for example, a place like Mars. Mars is the traffic jam of the solar system right now. There are 7 spacecraft there, 5 in orbit, 2 on the surface. We've got another one on its way at the moment. There are many more missions planned over the next 4 or 5 years. We could have up to a dozen spacecraft exploring Mars by the end of this decade. So needing this antenna time, the extra dishes to be able to listen in on their signals and get the commands to those spacecraft is essential.
So Glenn, we're standing in front of the Honeysuckle Creek dish. It was moved in the 80s when that site was decommissioned. Tell us a little bit about what this dish is famous for.
Well, probably most people know about the role of Australia in a particular space event, and that was the Apollo 11 moon landing back in July 1969. Most people know that story because of the movie The Dish, talking about the Parkes radio telescope in New South Wales.
Astronaut Neil Armstrong lands on the moon. People all over the world will be watching television pictures provided by the receiving dish in the town of Parkes.
So what's this all about?
We've got the moonwalk.
Eh? The moonwalk?
Why'd they pick us?
Turns out it's the largest radio telescope in the Southern Hemisphere.
But it's a movie rather than a documentary. What actually happened on that day was pretty exciting. We had several stations in Australia that were providing support to Apollo 11. There was the station at Carnarvon in Western Australia, there was our station here at Tidbinbilla, and there was Honeysuckle Creek, which is about 25 kilometres southwest of here. But the original plan by NASA was to actually use their dish in California to get those pictures, you know, to show their guys, 2 Americans walking on the moon, beating the Russians there, winning the space race. But they had a problem. When they received that signal from the moon, the picture that they got at the Californian station, which they sent to Houston, was unfortunately upside down.
Currently it's upside down on our monitor, but we can make out a fair amount of detail.
So that was a bit of a sort of a doh type of moment for NASA. So they looked to Australia, of course. Now, they had the use of the Parkes radio telescope, but Parkes didn't have a picture at the critical moment. And that's because, and they depict this in the film, the moon hadn't risen high enough in their local skies yet, so they had to wait a little while before they were going to get a picture. So NASA looks to the Honeysuckle Creek station, and this dish here was the smallest dish in the world, providing that communication at 26 metres. And so they had a picture, they had a great picture, and it was the right way up. NASA saw that on their screens, flicked the switch just in time, so that 600 million people around the world could witness Neil Armstrong taking his final few steps down the ladder, putting his left foot on the surface of the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I tell you what, that is the best part of my job here at Trekzone, is to be given the access that we are into the places that we get to go to, not only at Supernova and Oz Comic Con with their guests, but places like that, to the Tidbinbilla tracking station down in Canberra. A huge thanks to Glenn Nagel, then and always, for answering my emails and entertaining me on podcasts as well. Very much looking forward to heading back down there, catching up with Glenn, seeing those telescopes now fully constructed and operational. Hopefully we're getting on the inside as well and can give you an even better tour of the facility. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the next That Time When too. So be on the lookout for that one. Oh, and of course, if you wanted to catch that Canberra road trip in full, click the link in the card of the top of the video here on YouTube. Or if you're listening to me, be sure to jump over to Trekzone.org, scroll down to the That Time When section of the homepage, click on the Canberra road trip That Time When episode, and the link will be in our official watch page. But for now, and as always, I'm Matt Miller for Trekzone. Thanks for watching.
Keep up to date with Twitter. Catch new podcasts daily on YouTube. Plus, we're beaming to your favourite podcast app 5 days a week. Just search for Trekzone and subscribe.